Hi again everybody, Jeff's blog, day 76, 5th of October 2021. Just want to record what's been going on in my life and the life of our church since I retired from a building job, and on what we've been doing this last 16 years. Mostly I'll refer to from after the credit crunch, but just as an introduction, which is really relevant for these days that we're in now, is that 3 or 4, a month or so ago it would be, I had 2 or 3 occasions when just walking around in my daily life, I kind of had an impression of Jesus's feet, as if I was walking past the foot of the cross, and his feet were there, just at eye level, you see, and it was that they were dirty, and they were sweaty, and they were bloody, and it caused me to remember the Last Supper, just 15 or 16 hours earlier, 12 hours earlier, when they'd been eating a meal, and nobody had washed anybody's feet. So Jesus got up and he washed everybody else's feet. And then when he sat down, it's not recorded anywhere that he washed the disciples washed his feet. So that sort of worried me a little bit, kind of thing. Who would wash Jesus? And I thought, nobody washed Jesus' feet. And then I thought, oh yeah, they did. Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea, who took Jesus down off the cross and took him to the tomb. They would have washed his feet, but of course he would have been dead then, wouldn't he? And then it was only a couple of weeks later I remembered that a lady had interrupted a party that he'd been at, when the host, once again, had not washed anybody's feet, which should have been the custom. But this lady came in, and she'd been so blessed by Jesus somewhere along the line that she'd come to him, and she took position behind him, and she wept as she was weeping over the goodness of Jesus over her life, I'm sure. The tears fell on his feet, and so she washed his feet with her tears, and then it says that she dried them with her hair, and that generated a conversation. So you can read that in the Bible if you want. But washing people's feet, it's not been we've not been big on it, have we? But it was something I ached about, and once when I was in India, I was pumping on a water thing, and some Indian chap put his feet underneath, and it really blessed me that I've been able to actually wash somebody's feet. So what does it mean for us today to wash someone's feet? Since the credit crunch in 2009-2010, there's been a lot of poverty. Low income families and people on benefits that have really been hit hard, increasingly so as the days have gone by. And in the early years of that, a lady at my church came to the front, and she shared that it's coming up to Christmas, she said. So if you've a mind, will you buy a present and take it to the social services at the town hall so that they'll give it to somebody who's poor? And she shared that, and I didn't take any notice of her. And I'm sure nobody else in the church did, But it was a couple of days later that I was listening to the local radio, in Manchester radio. They were saying 25% of the children in Manchester won't get a present this Christmas. So it kind of galvanised us as a church. And then the thing about the radio was they wanted new presents, so buy a new one. So we thought, well, if we buy a new one, we'll just buy one. But if we have a collection, we can get used toys. Quality used toys is what we said. We can give loads of people, So we did that first year, and in the end of that first year, we did 178 bin liners each with 8 presents in for these children around in the area. And we did that up to a couple of years ago, when the people who were helping us to give them to children turned around and said, we're not going to accept used toys anymore. We only want new toys. And that made it very difficult to reach the people who needed them. So, and then COVID's kicked in, so we've not got back into the toy business. But it was such a blessing to do that over the years, all of the community helping to join in, and to bring in and giving us toys to give away. But after the first one, we discovered, while we were giving the toys out in Royton, where I live, that there were 2 people between my church and where I live a mile away up the road, two families that had nothing, no furniture, no nothing, weren't expecting to have any food for Christmas. So after Christmas we decided we must do better. We can't pretend to want to help people just on one day of the year. So we started, we engaged with the local children's centre, and they came and used our building for some meetings for the local people. Our building was nearer to the poorer people in the area than their centre. But we also used a largish room in the building as a charity shop. That's been running till COVID. We haven't opened up yet since COVID. But it was running, so people would come in and have a brew, and they would, have a nice time. 3 days a week we did that. And the money that went over the counter stayed in a pot and was available for local people. And anybody in real need in the local community, social workers were welcome to bring people in and just take whatever they needed, whatever they wanted from the shelves that we had there. And then as we did that, after, unfolding alongside that, slowly, we helped with people with furniture, carpets, white goods and things, everything that people, sometimes everything that people needed to set up their homes. And quite miraculously at that time, as we're coming into that, my son, who's got a piano business in a warehouse across the road, had an area which he'd been renting out to someone else. And they went away, they stopped using it, so we started to use it, sort of about the size of 2 double garages or something like that. And so we were able to use that to bring furniture into. Social workers would come into that area, and with their clients, they would choose whatever they wanted, and we would deliver it to them. All done by myself, with myself and colleagues, with my car with a trailer on the back. It's a fantastic way to move around. As long as it's not raining, you're fine. So you don't need the expense of an extra vehicle, you see. And of course we're all volunteers, so we just with all our expenses, we're just paying the rent of the unit. And so that happened, as the years went by and increased. And in 2018, I heard God said, say yes to everything. Say yes to everything. So basically, I was then wonderfully working almost, 6 days a week, picking up furniture, bringing it to the unit, filling the unit up, and I'm thinking, then it would empty. So the floor would appear and disappear on a regular, fortnightly basis kind of thing. All this furniture going out there. And then at the end of that, just before Christmas, a lady turned up who we'd been giving furniture to, and she says, "Can you help me with food?" And I'd not given any attention to that much, because we had the food bank, didn't we, of course. And my answer to everybody, at that time regarding that was, you need to go to the food bank, and that got them off my case, didn't it? But this lady said, well, I've been to the food bank and I've had my allocation for the 6 months, or 3 or 4 as it was, and so I'm not eligible for any more. But just at that time, it was a Christmas, and we were on a toy and tin appeal. So there's a lot of tins in the church. So I gave her 3 bags and said, fill them up with whatever you want from there. So she went away. I knew she had 5 children, so I knew she was in trouble if she was coming to me like that. And so, so that was set me thinking. And so my logical brain looking at how to do food. And so I developed a system of doing food initially. Initially thinking like the food bank, getting everybody to give me food, but no, that's too arduous, it's too cumbersome. So the system we've got is we have a shelf at church that's got 10 basic items now, that fill a bag. And then we've got a freezer that's got bread in it, so we don't have to go to the shop every day for bread. And when we give somebody, food, that bag of normal stuff is really heavy. Then you get a bag with 3 ready meal, 3 loaves in it. That's not heavy, but it's loads of food. And then you get another bag, the basic standard packages with 12 ready meals from Tesco's. That's 69p each. So that's really cheap for a lot of food. And it's food that can be readily eaten and very quickly warmed up and used without needing anybody to spend any more money to make it that they can eat it. So it's really user friendly, and the environmental health people are very happy that we're doing food like that. They don't even need to come and look at how look at our system of how we're doing it. But just to say, when the Lord said, say yes to everything, up to that time, we'd been getting white goods simply by people giving them us, and then giving the white goods out. And at that time, someone came along and said, "Have you heard of Acts 435?" Well, it's a crowdfunding website set up by the Archbishop of York at the same time as we started our charity shop, and we 8 years later we were finding out about it. And so we engaged with them. We found a local supplier, so that anybody coming through the door now says, "I need a cooker," or "I need a washer," and "I need a fridge freezer," I just rang my mum, and said, "Can you use a..." And they'd have it by tea time. If they came in the morning, my mum would deliver it in the afternoon, or early evening actually. And in that 6-month period, at the end of 18, they gave us £5,400 of money for money for white goods. We'd spent £5,000 of our own from the charity shop and the generosity of the church. So we'd done over £10,500 worth of white goods, plus all the furniture that went with it. So that we're still doing that. That's what we're still doing. This morning, 2 emergency food packages have gone out. A midwife has come for a load of baby stuff and taken some food for a family with 6 children this morning. I've set the church up so that the local social housing rental people, First Choice Homes, who employ the bread and butter people to come to our church, they employ, they facilitate, and then we give them the building for nothing. They come. Tomorrow my church will be full of 50, 60 families coming and getting bread and butter people's food. So they're not the people on the bottom, they're budgeting, and they pay a little bit of money for that, but it's a lot of food that goes out into the area. So there's, we're really quite well involved. Just a couple of stories. Sometimes you can give someone. I remember, just come to mind. I gave a bed to a fellow once, and he cried. He's like 30 odd. I gave him this bed. He'd been sleeping on the floor or whatever he'd been sleeping on, and he'd said, and what he said was, "Nobody has ever been kind to me before." It was crackers, wasn't it? So that's one little story. So you get blessed, you see. You get blessed in this kind of service. You get blessed. And I came to understand it's a washing of feet service. This is how we wash feet in our modern times. So that a lady with her friend came for some furniture on a Friday afternoon. And I'm looking for it. We closed at 2 o'clock, supposedly. And it's she's come at 1:45, taken a period of time to get and her uncle's going to come and pick it up, you see, isn't he? She's got a van started and her uncle's going to come and pick it up. But she, so we got all the food, all the furniture into this area in the shop where it would be picked up from, the loading bay. And so she rings her uncle and he can't come. He can't come. So I've got one eye on being at home by now, you know what I mean? So I'm not readily volunteer. Normally I'm quite easy to volunteer, but this day is there not anybody else, you know? Is there not anybody else, you know? Well, I'll try somebody else. I'll try somebody else, you know? Come tomorrow morning. So oh, come on, we'll put it in the trailer. We'll get it in the trailer, get it done. You know. So I brought the trailer and put it there and started loading it. And as I was loading it, it was a spiritual experience of understanding. Jeff, you're washing Jesus' feet. If you do it to one of the least of these, you're doing it to me. So if you want to get that close to Jesus, this is how to do it. If your Christianity is a bit dry, this is how to do it. Just find somebody to bless. Just find somebody to bless. Make them a cake or cook them a meal, you know. I'm going to put this on here because it's one of the things is not many people are so engaged, as fully at least. Many people are engaged in a measure in lots of ways, and I bless them, everybody, for everything that they're doing. But not many people are involved so fully as we are. And my desire is for another 10 churches to be around the town to be doing what we're doing. But we're all separated, aren't we, by our denominations and such. But I heard of something a couple of days ago, 3-4 days ago. Someone told me that the Pope, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the Bishop of an Eastern Orthodox church, so that's a big congregation that he's got, they've all come together to write a letter and signed it all together. So they've written it together and they signed it together for the coming climate thing in Glasgow. This is my thought, that in as much as those three people, those senior people in churches that are globally or half globally, the Eastern Orthodox person, I guess, in as much as they've come together to put that and agreed together to do that, in my way of thinking, that gives every single church on the planet permission to work together with people of other denominations. We've not been doing that. You know, I honour I don't like using denominational titles, but it's the Church of England initiative by the Bishop of York. And my understanding is, I'll put it on, and then if it's wrong, I don't think it's wrong, but I've read it in Wikipedia, so Wikipedia must be right, mustn't it? He's not actually under the authority of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Church of England's separated in itself by two things, you know. But this initiative is asking for every single church in the country to engage with it. So I would love for this video to get out into every single church in the country to engage with Acts 4:3-5. You can get stuff off it, you know, but you can also obviously contribute because it's a crowdfunding thing. So you can contribute as well. And that's a way to wash Jesus' feet. Just donating some money. You get a personal thank you note from the person that your money gets accredited to. You choose who to give the individual and the need that they have to help finance that, and then you get a personal thank you from them. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I think the strap line is connecting people who would want to help with people who need helping. So we just need some people to stand in the middle and serve. That's the ministry of a priest, you know, to stand before God and bring it to the people, to stand before the people and bring it to God. So in the practical needs, this is just something that you can take you 10 minutes to register. Acts 4:3-5. Go online if you're in a church. I can do that. I can do that. I can find somebody in the area that's doing furniture and stuff. We started a furniture bank, by the way. I missed that out, didn't I? Okay, I'll let you go. Thanks for listening again. God bless now. See you soon. Ta-ra.